Oh, hey, hi. I didn't see you there. Yeah, so welcome to another video. Um, I just charging the car, having a pretty good day. Day's going by pretty fast. But I just wanted to hop on real quick and just had some things on my mind. Um, Went to church yesterday, and the pastor was talking about living by the Bible, and even if you don't agree with it entirely in certain areas, or if it doesn't align with today's culture, and just pushing back against the new, I won't say new, but the present culture dynamic, which is kind of steered around, kind of like you do you, I'll do me, you don't bother me, I don't bother you, everyone's, going through their own individual journey through life. So, whatever resonates with you is good, and, I don't know, I kind of felt some type of way about it. I felt some type of way about the, living by the Bible, even if you don't agree with it. And my problem with that statement is not many people are educated, and I'm not fully educated on it. So if I'm, misquoting anything, you're more than welcome to correct me. But, we live in a society where information is available 24/7. I mean, unlimited amounts of information. Now, the hard part is determining what information is true and what information is not true, right? Or partially true. That's the other part. Sometimes we could get information that is on the right track but isn't exactly being delivered correctly. But to go back to the statement about living by the Bible regardless of how we feel about it, I think we have to go back and start with the Bible. I think people need to be educated on the history of the Bible from oh, I got a little booger with that. Okay. From the earliest version of the Bible to now, and kind of how it's been changed and translated from then to now. And here's why I believe that's important. I believe that's important because today's Bible has been manipulated over the years, and I don't necessarily know if it's been manipulated in a positive way or a negative way. Me personally, I think it's been manipulated in a negative way, in a way that at the time of the New Testament, it really was an opportunity to make changes at a time where I think society was also changing, and it was a way to kind of like make people be able to resonate with it again. Now, I think the other part of this is, sorry, someone's calling me, is that it's also important to understand why it was changed, what was changed in it, and is the information that was changed important to have in its original context and text. And here's why I say that. I say that because to take information out or to change information based off of its original context and translation would be based off of the interpretation of the person or the people or the organization doing that, right? And it's possible because humans are historically known to be corrupt. It could have been translated and or manipulated in a way that benefited the people doing the translation. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I still think it's important that people know why, what, who, when. And I say that because we should be allowed to have all of the information and use that information to connect with God in our way. And that's where the whole, you can't let people, live their life, you do you, I do me kind of thing slightly comes into play, because I want to know more, but I also want to know the truth. Now, don't tell me to live by the Bible when there's a lot of information in the Bible that would not be socially acceptable today. There are lots of things that were done and practiced in history that, in today's society is just 100% not acceptable. And that goes across the playing field of any pastor, priest, any church official whatsoever to stand in front of a group of people for them to say, oh, this is okay, right? So we can't pick and choose what is important and what isn't, right? Remember, a person, a human being wrote everything. Now, the religious followers will say, well, God was telling these people to write it in this way. And it's like, okay, I understand that, but we still need to know exactly how God told that person to do that, right? And that comes from its original text and the original passages and everything, and let people resonate with what they need to resonate with, because essentially that's what churches are doing. Well, Bible-based churches, that's what they're doing. They pick stories and lessons in the Bible, and they try to apply them to modern day, and allow us to try to connect with the Word. Now, why is that important? It's important because if we can't connect with the Word, then why have it? Why follow it, right? So I understand why pastors and priests and fathers and just religious church leaders do that, because it's the sustainability. They need to be able to keep the lessons in a way that people can understand them. Now, but that also means that you need to come at us correctly. We need to know the hard truths of the Bible and why it is the way that it is, or why the message is the way that the message is. Now, remember, in the Bible, most of the killing in the stories and the death in the stories are initiated by God. Now, that doesn't, it kind of goes against the grain. Like, it's a hard pill to swallow to say, hey, God is good all the time. Now, we know that killing is bad. But when God is commanding it to be done, is it still bad? Or is it now good? Because killing is killing. Now, could there have been an alternative to the killing, right? That's where the humanitarian mindset comes in. Could there have been some convincing from God to these people to say, hey, look, you're not going to win this battle. I'm here now. I'm here to prove to you and everybody else that this is the way of life. This is the path towards righteousness. This is the way to get into my kingdom. And you guys can be open-minded to accepting that, or we can fight, but it's not going to be great for you. right? Now, I'm not saying that God is bad. God is God. God is everything. God is all-knowing. And it's possible that those acts aren't necessarily acts towards real people, but part of a journey to teach the real people how to live. Because God is capable of doing that. God can manifest any type of situation in real time, and it doesn't necessarily, it's real for you, but it's not necessarily real for him, you know? So that is a possibility. But as a human, you translate it in the way that you experienced it, which is, hey, there were massive casualties just completely annihilated overnight because of God's favor, right? And that's completely understandable. God is allowed to do that. We are not God, therefore God can do what he wants. But for us to be created in the image of and to follow in the path of, it kind of goes against the grain, right? So let's interpret that. Let's peel back the layers of that onion and let's come to a conclusion on it, right? I'm not saying attack it, and I'm not saying go against the word of God. I'm simply saying let's unpack it for what it is. Let's put 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4 together, and let's say, hey, this is why these things had to happen, so that we can all connect with it, so that we can all, allow ourselves to dive into that situation and apply it to our day-to-day. Because here's the other part. You can read as many stories as you want in the Bible that tell you a journey of his people, but what does that mean for me? It becomes just like any other story, any other book that you read, and go on an adventure and use your imagination with, So what does that mean for me? I want to have a deep, loving, and spiritual relationship with Yahweh, with God. I want to have that. But I can't connect and have it with a man-made book that God told people to write about so that we can have it till this day. If the layers of the onion aren't going to be peeled back, and I'm not going to be given a fair opportunity to be able to understand it. And the other part is, people can say, well, you can go to, follow this person, listen to that person, and you're going to get interpreted. Yeah, but every interpretation is almost different. And who's to say that person's interpretation is good? Because you have to listen to it and then resonate with it so that you can say, hey, this makes sense. I like this. But just because I do doesn't mean that the person next to me does. So now we're back to the beginning. Letting someone live their life based off of how they feel and how their journey is in life. I'm a believer in string theory, that everything is connected. Because how could it not be, right? Like, if we're all, if God is the creator of everything, then God is the puppet master, right? So if God created everything, everyone, every experience, he is all-knowing, all-powerful, almighty, all of the above, then nothing is a surprise for God. Right? Nothing is a surprise. God knows everything. God knows what you're thinking. God knows what you're going to do. God knows if you put something in front of you, And so, though he knows what's going to happen, he's not going to dictate what happens. Now, God's going to allow you to pick a path. Now, he knows what happens on every single path. Every single one. So in any given time, there are a billion plus who knows how many different realities that you could be on. Wow, Chris, no, it's just this one life, yes, it's this one conscious experience, But this conscious experience is constantly splitting and splitting and splitting into new paths and new waves and new sections. Because it's like, for example, if you're at a crossroad, you can go left or you can go right. Those are the only two choices you have in that moment. Or let's throw another one. Let's say you can also go straight, or you can go back, but it's your choice. Now, you could say, well, God is going to push you to X path or B path, but the reality is it's your choice which path. Now, God knows what happens in every single path. You don't. And in each path, there are different experiences. Different things can happen. You're going to see different trees. You might see different animals. There may be good things. There may be bad things. It may be a longer trip. It may be a shorter trip. But each one has different experiences. Now, just because you decide to go to one experience doesn't mean that all of the other experiences are gone. Now, you as a primary consciousness, you only experience the path in which you chose. But the other parts of you now fan off into these other experiences because they still have to go. Because what if, right? Everyone's always, well, what if? Well, you can't worry about what if because you're doing this. It's like, well, yes and no. No, I don't necessarily have to worry about the what if because does it matter? Well, it does, but it doesn't. Well, why do you keep saying it does, but it doesn't? It does because part of you is experiencing that. The other part is the primary version of yourself is not. So that's why it does or it doesn't. Now, why is that important? It's important because we, as individuals, face this every single day. Jeez, I feel like I have boogers all everywhere. We face this all the time, all day, in every aspect of our life. Getting out of bed, eating, drinking, socializing, work tasks. We have choices. We make tons of choices all the time. And those choices can mean one thing or another thing or, vice versa. So, it's really about analyzing every situation and understanding that there's a presence of God in all of them, but it's possible that one of them has just a little bit more. Now, are you lucky enough to figure out which path that is? And that's a big part because if you have a strong relationship with God, then you can hear God. You can listen for what's right. What's when you get that feeling inside that's like, hey, this is probably, a bad way to go. This way, it might take me a little longer, but it looks safer. This other way is a shortcut. I'll get there a lot faster, but it looks a little more dangerous. Or I could just completely avoid any of these encounters or situations and I could just go back where I came from. Now, you don't grow going backwards, but sometimes you need to take a step back in order to analyze how to go forward. And that's an important step that many of us forget to take. We just jump in. And we're like, well, I'm just going to deal with it because I've just always had to deal. I've always had to struggle. I've always had to fight. I've always had to do A, B, C, D, F, G. And it's like, well, maybe it's because you just jump in. So take that step back and analyze your choices and the decisions that you need to make and find the one that connects with you. Find the one that God is directly saying, hey, I need you to go this way. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you. Maybe it seems like an annoying task to do. Maybe he wants you to go the long, hard way. It's very possible. But if you don't have a direct connection and a relationship with God, then you're not going to know. And you're just going to jump in and you're just going to deal. Now, you might get lucky. And I just jumped in and boom. It happens for a lot of people. I know people this happens for all the time. But guess what? I'm not one of those people. My path always has, it feels like the most resistance. Maybe there are paths with more resistance, but it always feels like it's never easy. And if you know me, you know that that is 100% true. And it could be the simplest of tasks. But hey, look, I'm trying to piece everything together. I'm learning just like you are, but we're all together in this. So how can we take a step back, analyze our decisions, and make the right one? Now the fear is always going to set in. Well, what if I do that and I don't? I still pick the wrong one. Well, is it the wrong one? Could the other ones have been worse? Well, we don't know that, but we made the choice. We're going to make the decision. We're going to stick by it. We're going to stand by it, and that's just what we're going to do. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. But what is it? If we lived a life where everything was always easy, it would be boring. And sometimes I think about, man, heaven sounds like this phenomenal place, right? Where everything is perfect. But if everything was perfect, would it be fun anymore? That's what's so great about this world. And I feel like that's why demons and Satan envy us humans so much, because when they were created, they had to be perfect all the time. They didn't get to make choices. They followed orders. They followed God's word and what God said, and that was that. And if you went away from that, you got cast out. We are, as humans, so loved by God that we are allowed to sin when all of the others are not. We are allowed to sin, and through that sin, we are allowed to learn lessons and still be loved by God wholeheartedly. Now, you have to repent, and you have to, hey, look, I understand I made poor decisions here, but these are the lessons that I've learned. I don't want to continue down this path. I apologize for my behavior. How can I move forward with you, with me, right? In a greater sense, not, because God never really leaves you. But the important part is we get to do that. Well, duh, everything else is jealous of that. Like, they have to be perfect all the time. Imagine if you made one mistake, and through that one mistake, you were immediately cast into hell. That would suck, right? 100% that would suck. That would suck. Every single one of us would be in hell. How does that benefit God? It doesn't. So he says, hey, I created you in my image. I love you. I want you to experience everything that I've created in its fullness, but I also understand that you're going to have to learn some tough lessons. I also understand that through me providing you with free will, that I'm going to have to sit back and watch you destroy yourself until you're ready to come to me for help so that I could teach you the way. And it can sound and feel cruel, but it's not. If you're a parent, you know this. Sometimes you have to watch your kids make mistakes, trip and fall, and you can't always run to their side. They have to learn how to manage their emotions. They have to learn how to figure out how to manage pain. They have to do all of those things, because if you don't let them do that, the day that you leave this earth, they will not know how to survive without you. And that's not fair to them. That your selfish behavior did not allow them to experience life, even the tragedy, even the pain, and even the hurt, all collectively so that they can be better, stronger, socially and physically more productive human beings in our society and in this earth. Now, one person can't change the way that the world works, but collectively we can. We have the power to do so. But it comes through how we allow people to grow. It can feel in like an inconvenience to you as an individual, but it's not. You got a gift from God, and that was to care for life. In the same way, God has been caring for you. He has to watch you do not so great things. And I'm sure God has a palm print on his forehead from the amount of times he slapped himself in the forehead watching us make the stupidest decisions. But all in all, the bad has to happen in order for us to appreciate the good. Without darkness, you can't appreciate the sun. And that is an important thing that we all need to remind ourselves of. If you are walking in the shadows, and you have been for a long time, you need to rip that Band-Aid off, and you need to find the light. You need to find a way to get to it. You need to crawl out of that abyss, and you need to figure out how to get back up here in the light, because it feels amazing. It does. It does. And I pray and I hope that all of you find something in this message today and take that with you going forward. All we can do is work to be better people, that we can be more accepting and loving, even with people that don't make our life easy. There's always something to learn. There's always something to overcome, whether it happens today or tomorrow. There's always something. So let's look forward to the challenge. Let's look forward to life and this experience. And let's do it together. Why not? So God bless you all. Take care. Say a little prayer for me. I'll say a little prayer for you. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.